So here's the sitch for this book. The Stolen Vow was originally going to be the final book in the series. Like, up till this point, we were like, it's gonna be a 6-book series. It's gonna be 6 books. That's it. No more. No more. But as we began to outline it, it soon became clear that there was no way we were going to wrap up everything in one book. Yeah, let's get into that and some like takeaways from writing this book. So first off, how and why we decided to split the final book into 2 books. So I think what really clinched it was that the final battle was coming like way too early and the characters just weren't ready for it. They were all gonna die. Or like they couldn't be involved at all because then they would die. So like the characters had seen some action but just not much in the way of larger battles or like how it feels to be on the battlefield. And also like just moving from small to big in a series is really important. That progression and growth should feel natural. If you move too slow, the reader gets bored. If you move too quickly, the reader is like, what? Or at least that's how I react. Anyways, we were moving too quickly and there were just too many threats, too many enemies, too many problems to wrap up in a single book. Additionally, because we did things differently than we had planned in the previous book in regards to Deirdre's character arc, there were consequences and problems that we just didn't plan for. And all these things they also needed to be dealt with in a satisfactory way. And yeah, so long story short, as we outlined, we were like, we have enough material for 2 books. Let's just make 2 books. So that's what we did. Yeah, outlining is pretty awesome for figuring things out like that. Because if we had been writing that book thinking it was going to be 1 book, we had dove right in. It would have been pretty frustrating to like be in there halfway and be like, this is not going to work. Anyways, the second takeaway is why to not use a placeholder for major plot points. So a placeholder in writing for me is basically like, I don't know what the setting will look like, or what this particular weapon will look like, or what this character will say. So like, let's say I'm working on a first draft. I might put in a placeholder of sorts. Like, if a character says, I love you, but I don't know what the other character is going to say, I'll put a note like, Alvy replies with something cute and funny. LOL. Yeah. So, placeholders can be really great to help streamline the workflow and just keep things moving on a first draft. However, we went too far with the use of a placeholder here for this book. We knew that the Winter Queen needed to have some kind of like big plan in this book, and we had an internal threat going on with her like manipulating someone in the main cast through magic. So like that was good, but we also needed her to have a big external threat that would instigate the big battle in this book. It's not the final battle, it's just a big battle. And at some point during the outlining, I was like, we can't think of anything. We can't think of anything that she's going to do. Like, let's just say that she's just going to summon a giant troll. Like, LOL, that's so stupid. Big giant troll. That's really dumb. But like, we'll think of something better later. So here's the thing. We kind of forgot that the troll was a joke placeholder. We took it dead seriously. We drafted almost all of the entire draft writing this troll in there. And I think that it was as we were nearing the 3rd act when the troll was supposed to appear that Casey was like, hey, this troll is really weird and dumb. And I was like, yeah, it is weird and dumb. And I look back at our like outline and stuff and like just died on the inside, and I realized it was meant to be a very, very temporary placeholder. It was so dumb. I don't know if this is like a cautionary tale about placeholders or if this is just a tale about how my memory is very bad. Yeah. I can't blame Casey for this because the troll falls under the realm of like the fairy stuff in the Winter Court, and that's my job. So anyway, yeah, that made for some really fun rewrites for the book. We did come up with a better scheme for Ryza than a stupid troll and implemented it into the story, and it turned out pretty good. And actually, I like how it turned out in the end. I think it was a lot of fun. I really liked the battle scenes. I would talk about them, but they are kind of riddled with spoilers, so let's just say that like, oh yeah, I forgot that like even whenever we were finishing the final edits for this book, I think I still found the word troll in at least one place in the manuscript. Oh man. So what is the biggest takeaway for this book in regards to the publication process? So in regards to co-writing, co-writing this book was really, it was hard for some reason. Like, this book was like kind of on the heavy and dark side, and it had some sweet moments for sure, but like it was just, there was a lot that was hard to write. I don't think the dark material automatically means that writing a book together would be harder. Like, I don't think that didn't make the Thrall's Gambit harder, and that book was pretty intense. But like for me, the combo of 2021 being just like a little cray-cray for me, like more than I expected it to be, and just like everything was just more emotionally intense, and the book was also more emotionally intense. It was just all connected for me for some reason. Like, yeah, I guess my compartmentalizing was just just wasn't that good that year. So oh right, I also had like some emotional stuff that I was working out personally, and it was like with anxiety, I guess, and it was mirroring Deirdre's arc in this book. So yeah, just all the biz that she was working through. So like, yeah, it was a case where like I felt very close to the story in that way, and not in a way that like made the writing worse, but it just made it more intense. So like, oh right, also Casey, there was a lot going on here. Casey and I were also starting to like kind of get ideas for like a future series, like where are we gonna write once this series is over? Because yeah, we split this last book into 2, but like that's just 2 more books. Like, we're gonna be done before we know it. I don't know if that was disorienting, but it might have been. I'm not sure. Also, in regards to publishing in general, I think the big takeaway was that we had done publishing several times at this point, and nothing really stands out initially. Whenever I was writing the script for this, nothing really stood out about the experience of publishing the book. But like, as I was looking back at the files for the book, I see that we used a lot of maps for the book. Like, we used maps a bit with previous books, obviously, just to keep track of like where they were in the UK, making sure the distances between places made sense and things like that. But like this book, this was the first time where I was like studying the terrain, because not only did I have to make sure that the military was doing things like making camp in places that made like strategic sense, like because I initially had them at this one like castle/resort, and I was like, this is perfect, like the building itself made sense, but then I found out that it was like totally just like not on the high ground. And I'm like, this is a terrible place for them to be. So I had to change where they were. And I just had to really go in and study the terrain and things like that, just to make sure everything made sense. And we also had to plan out the battles and make sure they weren't doing something like fighting by a lake that didn't exist or was on like the other side of, you know, that area of the country or something like that. Yeah. So that was, that, I guess that's not really a publishing thing, but it was different. And it was also a good warm up for book 7. Like, we did way more with maps in that book. Yeah, just another layer to the writing process, I guess. So working on a series is interesting. Like, you can go back and look and kind of see how like the work on it like overlaps with your life and different things that you were going through, like emotional ups and downs, or like developing a new interest in maps and like different park and wilderness areas in other countries. Yeah, so yeah, series writing, it is indeed a journey. And we are almost at the end of that journey, with the next video being about book 7, the final book in the series, and I hope you will stay tuned for that. Subscribe so you don't miss the video if you would like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!